What's good, YouTube? Crown Jewel from Crown Jewel Boxing, back with a gem. I wanted to come on tonight and give my reaction to the mega fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and King Ryan Garcia last night. Before we get too deep into it, if y'all wondering about the glasses, yeah, I don't usually wear glasses, but I have a food allergy and I ate something I wasn't supposed to eat, so my eyes don't look like they're supposed to look right now. So that's why I'm wearing glasses. But yeah, I want to talk about Ryan versus Tank last night, and Tank did what Tank does, steamrolled Ryan, got him out of there with another one-punch knockout, this time to the body, so we want to give some context on that. I'm disappointed in the officiating last night, as Ryan got some undue help from a couple of the judges, and we'll go a little deeper into that. Also, he was ghosted by his team, as pretty much only his family showed up to the post-fight presser. So we're going to touch on that as well. Also, David Morrell looked extremely well in his first round knockout last night, and immediately after called out David Benavidez, who I think it's time. I think he may be ready for a challenge like that. So a whole lot to talk about. Trying to see how I'll bring my guy on, but it's not really giving me the option right now. Yeah, I don't know. Something's wrong with me joining with my guy. But I definitely want to get on and talk about the fight. No real surprise there when it comes to the fight. Again, you guys gonna have to call me joegoosen because I pretty much predicted the outcome. I had Tank in 7 or 8. He ended up getting him in 7. I thought the Tank would be effective to the body. I didn't know that he would knock him out with a body shot. And I thought it was a little reverse from what I had. So I'm not going to say my prediction was perfect. I thought he would go downstairs early and ultimately stop him with a shot upstairs late. We had the opposite. In the second round, he dropped him with an overhand left, kind of similar shot that Luke Campbell dropped him with. And he kind of set it up. He allowed Ryan to throw the same combination 3 times in a row, baited him in, timed him, landed a beautiful counter left, and put him on the seat of his pants. Ryan was pretty impressive in how he gathered himself, got up and stayed pretty poised, and was able to continue to do what he was doing prior to that. Not that he had a whole lot of success before that, but he still was pretty much in the fight trying. He didn't go into survival mode after get dropped. He was still effectively trying his best to win the fight from what I could see. One thing I did not like about the knockdown, after the fight, we realized that second round in which he was dropped, and one judge scored it a 10-10 round. Another judge, David Morrell, scored it a 10-10 round. David Moretti, I'm sorry, David Morrell fought, but David Moretti scored it a 10-10 round. I think the Las Vegas Commission needs to suspend him immediately. That was deplorable. There's no excuse for a guy getting a 10-10 round in that situation. I can see it. My guy from New Jersey, Steve Weisfeld, scored a 10-9, and I was even disappointed in that. Why, you ask? Because when somebody gets knocked down, it's usually always a 10-8 round, unless maybe they won every other aspect of that round besides the very moment when they got knocked down. Then you would kind of penalize or cushion the blow by scoring it 10-9 because they won every other aspect of the round. It was just that one moment where they got dropped, which that wasn't the case. Not a whole lot happened in the round, but I still would have gave the edge to Tank. But even if you had a slight edge for Ryan in that round, the knockdown would have overshadowed any advantage you thought he might have, because he wasn't doing that well. He wasn't getting any real consistent or damaging work done. So for Steve Weisfeld to score 10-9 and for Dave Moretti to score 10-10, the fix was in. We seen, I know YSM Sports has said, I was on with YSM Sports and some other guys on Manager Marty a few weeks ago, and I have to say they was right about that. I didn't think that Tank, being in the prime of his career and still very serviceable to the powers that be, that they would attempt to rob him like that. to a guy that's unproven like Ryan, but I was wrong because it looks like if it went to a decision, they were going to do everything within their power to see to it that Ryan got the W based on what happened, the way they scored that second round. I'm glad, Tank didn't leave it in their hands. Ultimately, Tank was able to land a left hand, sink it into Ryan's liver. Ryan looked like he did everything he could to stay on his feet, and after a few seconds decided he just had to take a knee. To those that say he took a dive or the shot wasn't that tough, I invite you to watch the fight again, watch that shot land again, and watch it in slow motion. See if you catch Ryan's initial action. And in Ryan's initial action, the first thing you see him do is tuck that right elbow. That's a natural human reaction, that when you're hurt somewhere, you cover it. And the first thing he did after getting hit with that shot is tuck that elbow. He tucked that elbow, he took a step backwards. You can see him trying to gain himself. He was trying to take a breath, and that breath probably never came. And when that happened, he realized he was in serious trouble and had to take a knee, which he did. I thought he would attempt to beat the count, but again, I told y'all, this man does not have a big heart. I feel like he performed reasonably well for the level of fighter that I feel he is. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a good fighter, not a great fighter, but I just felt like he was in over his head. And I don't feel he has a big heart, and I think he displayed that when he elected to stay on his knee after being hit with that big left hand by Tank. With that being said, the post-fight presser drew a lot of attention for me. And the one thing that stood out, I don't know that I've ever seen a fight of this magnitude where you have a guy at a post-fight presser, and he just so happens to be one of the top fighters on his promoter's roster, and they don't accompany him at the post-fight presser. They were co-promoters of the card. They were present at the fight, but they don't show up to the post-fight presser. That seems a little odd to me. And that being Golden Boy's own Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, and even this savior of a trainer that everybody's talking about. And like I said, I take nothing away from joegoosen. I feel he's a good trainer, but I think some of the praise he's been given is a little overstated, because he was given credit when I was on Manager Marty by my man BVO Boxing last week for revitalizing the career. I forget the word he used, but revitalizing the career of Diego Corrales and Shane Mosley, and I just feel that's not true. I feel he's getting some undue praise. But they were noticeably absent from the post-fight presser, and that leads to speculation. There's been no statement as to why they're not there, so that leaves us to our own devices to figure it out. And it doesn't look good when your kid loses the first fight of his career, the biggest fight of his career, in a fight that you were a part of promoting, and when he has to face the media, which I'm sure was a tough task for him to do as a young man who had faced adversity at that level for the first time in his life on the biggest stage he ever been on, to not have the people that were the architects of his career, and also his, the lead voice in his corner, not be there to face the music with him. I thought that was a little odd. I think barring some kind of major catastrophe that precluded them from being there, or Ryan himself asking them not to be there, to me that was very odd and very telling. Like, they left that man hanging. I just think you don't treat people like that, and I don't see how he should have been at a post-fight presser and they not show up and face the music just as he did. Because if you remember, in the pre-fight build-up, the press conference leading up to the fight, the weigh-in, every time cameras were on talking about this fight, Oscar and Bernard were more vocal than I've seen them in a long time. And they didn't shy away from any of the attention. Anytime the camera was on Ryan, they were present. And then all of a sudden, when it doesn't go well and he loses, you ghosting for the post-fight presser. If I'm Ryan, I'm taking a deep, hard look at my team and weighing what's going on, because to me, that's just not the way you treat somebody in what may have been the toughest moment he's faced in life, let alone most definitely the toughest moment he's faced in his young career. To Ryan, I say, like I said, nothing against him. That was just my professional opinion of what was going to happen. And like I said, I called it. I picked round 7 or 8 for Tank. He did it in 7. But he has nothing to hang his head over. I think he lost to the better fighter. I think Tank does similar to everybody in the lightweight division. The only person that I'm not so sure about that is Shakur Stevenson, because he's just a master boxer. He looked like he got a little stronger and moving up. He's very defensively responsible, great reflexes, great legs. So that's an intriguing matchup. But even him, I don't care how good you box. We don't know what's going to happen to a Tank opponent until they feel Tank's power, because he has that kind of power. He has that kind of concussive power that you can outbox him all night long and be perfect all night long, and for one moment you become imperfect and the lights are turned out. He's that kind of talent. So that's my take on it. You know what I'm saying? Ryan, I hope he comes back stronger. But I hate to say it, you know, that's kind of what I expected. Actually, I think he performed a little better than I expected, because I didn't expect him to step the Tank from the opening bell and kind of push the action, which is what he did. But that ultimately led to his demise, his demise as far as the fight goes. Not, you know, literal demise, of course. He's still alive and well. But the demise of him in that fight was him being aggressive and coming forward, and he ended up running into a shot, just as I thought. Now, on the undercard, David Morrell. David Morrell is for real. This man looks better and better every time I see him fight. Everybody he hits. I mean, this man is a fighter, referee, doctor, all in one, because every time he hits a guy, they wobble, he's turning to the ref, asking for the ref to stop the fight. The ref don't want to stop the fight. He goes back to dismantling his opponent. And last night, the guy he fought was just completely outgunned. I'd like to see him in against stiffer competition. He called out David Benavidez directly after the fight. I have to say that's a very intriguing fight. And surprisingly, maybe, I'm going to say I go with David Morrell as of right now. I think he's maybe a little quicker than David Benavidez. Seems to be a bigger puncher, sharper, and just has a little more to him than David Benavidez. David Benavidez is a great fighter, no doubt. I don't want to take anything away from him. But he's kind of straight up and down, pressure fighter, comes forward, volume punching until he wears you down. David Morrell seems to have a lot more layers and has great size, length, punching power, speed, athleticism, which I think could be troublesome for David Benavidez. So I hope the powers that be, you know, don't wait too long. I know this man only has 9 pro fights, but he looks like he's ready. He looks like he's damn ready, and I'd like to see him matched up against Benavidez, and somebody's old must go. I don't see Canelo fighting Benavidez, so why not David Morrell? I hope the networks do what they have to do to promote it the right way. I'm pretty sure both of them are on PBC, so it shouldn't be a hard fight to make. Let's get these young guys in the ring, and let's see who the top young guy, or probably the top guy in the division, because it looks like Canelo's on his way out. That's really all I had to say. So to sum it up, Tank versus Ryan was what I expected to be. Oh, yeah, one more thing I want to mention. My guy, Gabe Rosado. You've had a hell of a career. You don't back down from nobody. You fight any and everybody, and you always give a tough fight. But it may be time for a curtain call. And I'm not saying that because I feel like he's incapable or to slight him in any way. But he seems to be slowing down. He's advanced in age. I would think he's made a decent amount of money in all the big fights he had at this point. And I just don't want to see him stick around and continue to be a gatekeeper for the young guys that they're trying to build. Boxing is a very brutal sport, and this is not a sport you need to take part in for much longer past your absolute peak, because a bad night in boxing could be your life, or at least your quality of life. So Gabe, you know, thanks for everything. You gave us a lot of excitement, tremendous fights against tremendous fighters, whole lot of heart, never back down from anybody. But again, I can say, you know, I fought on the same card with that man a long time ago, and like I said, nothing but respect. But I think it's time for him to move on and call it a career, because again, you know, father time comes for all of us, and he, you know, may have had a couple wars too many. He's gotten older, and I just like to see him gracefully bow out. But with that being said, Dave Moretti needs to be at least fined and suspended. 10-10 round when a guy gets dropped is atrocious. Steve Weisfeld, even though you're from New Jersey, I'm from New Jersey, I rock with all of Jersey heavy, he needs at least a stern warning. You don't give a guy a 10-9 round when he loses the round and gets dropped. So, as I said, you know, YSM Media and a couple other guys that want to manage Marty a couple weeks ago, you guys were right. You know what I mean? There was a chance, there was a very realistic chance that if that fight went the distance, they were going to try to stick Tank up and steal it from him. So I'm glad that he didn't. I'm glad he took matters into his own hands and got him out of there. But that's really all I have. Oscar, Bernard, joegoosen, you abandoned your guy when he needed you most. That's deplorable. I hope you guys had a really good reason for leaving him hanging and not being bold enough to face the media after your guy got stopped. But that's all I have for y'all tonight. Until next time, keep your hands up, your chin down, and your ass off the floor. Peace.